Good morning, everyone. This is asharenu once again. We're coming right back at y'all with another tablet of Thoth. So definitely, if you want to follow along, this is called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which can be found on the internet. You can download the PDF file, or you can read it straight off the internet. And this is a third tablet entitled The Keys of Wisdom. So we're gonna let everybody come in before we get started. All right, so we have the intro music. All right. So let us get straight into this. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the tablet word for word, and I'll be giving my commentary as we go along so that we can put it in the proper context. So let's get started here. I, Thoth, the Atlantean, give of my wisdom, give of my knowledge, give of my power. Freely I give to the children of men, give that they too might have wisdom to shine through the world from the veil of the night. So this is already letting you know, if you haven't been following along, from the beginning. And I encourage everybody, go back and read all of the tablets or read along with me or take notes or listen very closely. So this is letting you know right off the bat, Thoth, his whole purpose, his whole aim, and his existence is to serve the children of men to make sure that they have wisdom. So this is letting you know, even if we have, forces on the other side, forces that doesn't want to, support your ascension, you're going to always have forces that do support your ascensions, right? Just to always keep things, leveled out. Let us continue. Wisdom is power, and power is wisdom, one with each other, perfecting the whole. Now, it's very interesting that he speaks about power and wisdom, because if we go to supreme mathematics, we know that the number 2 is power. We know that the number 2 is wisdom, if we know that the number 5 is power. Because 2 is wisdom and 5 is power, those are the only numbers that if you break them down, if you break down the word wisdom, it takes you right back to the 2. If you break down the word power, it takes you right back to the number 5. Like, for example, if you was to break down knowledge, which is number 1, you would get the number 6, or equality, so on and so forth. But when you break down wisdom and when you break down power, they give you even more of themselves. So you going right back. So it's like an infinite flow. So it's interesting that it says wisdom is power and power is wisdom. We in today's terms we have the common saying knowledge is power. But Thoth is letting you know wisdom is power and power is wisdom. So let's get a clear definition on what power and wisdom is, just in case. We know that power is mental or physical force. We know that wisdom is pretty much having the ability to discern, what's righteous and what's unrighteous, and you being able to make a decision based on that. When we put these attributes together, so you can say it's the mental force that allows wisdom for you to manifest the wisdom. Meaning, so you may see wisdom, but it takes power for you for you to manifest wisdom, for us to manifest wisdom. Because you can say this is ageless. Wisdom is ageless. It constantly flows throughout the ages. So for us to make ourselves a part of something that predates us in terms of the physical bodies, not in consciousness, but in the physical body. Words that have been traveling around that predate our existence, our current existence, takes a certain level of power. It takes a certain level of power to manifest wisdom. Because it takes a lot of courage to manifest wisdom, because it may be contrary to what everybody else sees as right, wrong, good, or bad. So they're still thinking in duality. You have transcended it, so you just do what is needed. You're not necessarily looking at, well, is this a good thing to do or a bad thing? You just look at it as this is what's needed, and you place yourself in that. So let us continue. Be thou not proud, O man, in thy wisdom. Discourse with the ignorant as well as the wise. If one comes to thee full of knowledge, listen and heed, for wisdom is all. So this is giving us a perspective of, he's letting you know, don't be arrogant. Don't be arrogant with this wisdom. You know what I mean? Because it's not necessarily from you. Don't be arrogant with this. Be humble, keep your composure, walk amongst men. Then it says, discourse with the ignorant as well as the wise. So, we hear a lot of people, I don't want to deal with the dead people. I don't want to deal with these senseless people. It's telling you right there, discourse with the ignorant as well as the wise. That's why we adapt and we adjust to all of our situations. We don't try to avoid, I don't want to speak to this type of person, or I don't want to be in this certain type of field, or I don't want to be amongst this. You discourse with the ignorant as well as the wise. Why? Because, going to the next line, if one comes to thee full of knowledge, listen and heed. So if somebody comes to you full of knowledge, it's saying take heed to the knowledge. Don't try to debate this person. Don't try to think like, oh, this person really telling the truth and all that. It says listen and heed if someone comes to you full of knowledge. A lot of people can't do that, because if your ego is inflated, then you're not going to look at anybody like, nobody can be more wise than me. Nobody can be more knowledgeable than me. You start creating this fake image that repels true wisdom. For wisdom is all. Because wisdom is all, it can be found in all things, all situations, all people, all places, all things, etc., etc. All right? So be not arrogant. Make sure you stay humble, because wisdom can come from a child. We all know this, right? So wisdom can manifest itself in whatever form it pleases. All right. Keep thou not silent when evil is spoken for truth, like the sunlight shines above all. He who oversteppeth, the law shall be punished. For only through law comes the freedom of men. Cause thou not fear, for fear is a bondage, a feather that binds the darkness to men. So he's also letting you know, don't let evil stand when you possess the truth. And that's why it takes power to have wisdom. Because once you hold the truth in your hands, once you are able to handle the truth for yourself, now you have the duty for evil not to stand in your presence. Meaning it's going to take power to manifest that wisdom. Because wisdom is powerful, because the truth is contained within it. It is truth being expressed in words, right? That's rooted in some type of truth. The truth may not necessarily be what you hear, but the reason or the root of it can be rooted in truth. And nonetheless, like the sunlight shines above all, he who oversteppeth the law shall be punished. So this is letting you know. It's not necessarily Thoth that punishes, or people say karma. Does karma exist? Is karma real? It's not necessarily like that. It's just if you overstep of the law, meaning if you choose to be arrogant, you're creating your own cause and effect, right? Versus some higher being punishing you because you shouldn't have been that way. It's not saying don't be arrogant because God wants you to be humble. It's not necessarily speaking in those terms. It's saying don't be arrogant because in arrogance you manifest ignorance. And ignorance will lead, to you making decisions that are contrary to your higher purpose or your destiny or fate. So it's really telling you don't be arrogant for your own sake. Not because you're trying to spare other people's feelings. Like, let's not get this twisted. So whenever things are advised, it's not telling you just be nice to the people and humble yourself to the people. It's not speaking in those terms. It just do not manifest certain attributes because those attributes are going to lead to ignorance, and ignorance is going to lead to decisions being made that are contrary to your destiny. That's just the way the law works. So when they say don't be in contrary to the law, it's for your own good, because if you are, then those type of attributes lead to certain type of things physically, right? So there you go. So just to put that into context, it's not saying be humble and bow and be a servant in terms of just being, you have no sense of self. It's just you have so much sense of self, because wisdom is power, that it is not wise to be arrogant. That's why you're not arrogant. Because it's hard for wisdom to manifest from someone who's arrogant. Why? Because nobody's listening. Because people close themselves off to people of that nature. Because that's just the energy it emits. It's the difference between being confident and being arrogant. Just to make that clear as well. For only through law comes freedom of men, because thou not fear, for fear is a bondage. Just letting you know right there, fear is a bondage, a feather that binds the darkness to men. So it's breaking down the process. It's fear that attracts darkness or misfortune to our lives. It's the vibration or frequency of fear that draws that dark energy, versus us thinking like negative thoughts. You can say negative thoughts comes from fear. Fear is the root of all things. You can say anxiety, anything that you consider negative, any negative attribute you feel you possess, the root of it all is fear. Because if there was no fear, there would be no anxiety, there would be no nervousness, there would be no self-doubt, right? There would be no depression. All these are rooted in fear. So fear is a true bondage. It's the fear that draws the misfortune and the negativity to you, versus you just thinking negative thoughts. It's you having some type of fear that draws the negative thoughts. The fear is the source of it. So it's letting you know the source, because it's the fear that takes away the power from the wisdom. Right? There you go. Follow thine heart during thy lifetime. Do thou more than is commanded of thee. When thou hast gained riches, follow thou thine heart. For all these are of no avail if thine heart be weary. Diminish thou not the time of following thine heart. It is ad horn of the soul. So this is a very, very serious statement. So, you know, follow thine heart during thy lifetime. So it's not saying follow your brain. It's telling you follow your heart. Your heart, you can say, it holds a greater intelligence than the brain. Yes, the brain is the central hub station, right? Yes, the brain is the central hub station, but it's a certain intelligence within the heart, because we know at this point, if we know about the chakras, the heart chakra is the gateway. You have to go through the heart chakra, which is to have your heart must be weighed, your heart must be lighter than a feather in order for you to continue to ascend beyond that point. Meaning you can't be holding on to anything that has happened in the past and all that. You basically have to let go of fear. You let go of fear in the heart chakra, right? The fear is alleviated. That's why people, you see Jesus pointing to the heart and all that. This is fear. You have to alleviate the fear, whatever fear you may have, or just fear itself. It's not even necessarily an aspect of fear, just fear itself. Fear itself must be removed or crossed out of your heart, because that's where you feel it. You feel that in your chest. Whenever you fear, you don't necessarily feel it in your brain, you feel it in your chest. So obviously the root of the fear can be found. You don't feel fear necessarily in your fingertips, you feel it most in your chest, meaning that's where that intelligence is, and that's where that energy must be dealt with from a heart level. When thou hast gained riches. So that's also letting you know, it's not telling you that you got to be somebody out here suffering and slaving and grinding and doing all that. Once thou hast gained riches, so it means get the money, right? Ain't nothing wrong with you having your finances on point. Nothing wrong with that. When thou hast gained riches, follow thou thine heart. So it's you following the heart that's going to lead you to the riches. And it's you following your heart that's going to help you to maintain the riches. For all these are of no avail if thine heart be weary. So it's letting you know that's wisdom. Wisdom is saying it don't matter how much money you have. It don't matter how much status you have. It doesn't matter what you have. If your heart is weary, you truly have nothing. So when people think like, yo, how do people that have everything that you don't have, right? But they're still depressed. They're still, they're not necessarily the manifestation of what you would think like, yo, this person don't ever have to worry about their finances. How could you be depressed about anything? From coming from a person that has always had to worry about finances. So you can say their vision of heaven is not having to worry about their finances, not understanding that just because you don't have to worry about the finances, there's different, areas of life. We have 12 houses, right? You can say the house that deals with your bank account is Taurus, the energy of Taurus. You have 11 to 12 other classes or zodiac signs that represent different aspects of life. So that's one aspect of life out of the 11 or 12. So that's just letting you know that there's more things on the table. But if your heart is weary, or if your heart is heavy, as I just explained, if your heart is heavy, none of it matters. So your heart cannot be heavy. You must keep your heart lighter than a feather. That's how you're going to gain success. And if your heart becomes heavier, that's how you would lose it. It's all in the heart area, just to be clear. Diminish thou not the time of following thine heart. It is a horde of the soul. So never cease following the intelligence of your heart. The intelligence, there's a communication, there's a frequency being emitted from the heart that we can tune into on a spiritual level. This is what it truly means to say go within. This is go into the heart area, go into the chest area. So there should never be a time when you're not following the intelligence of your heart. Because that's also where you feel the intuition and all that. Like all spiritual powers is going to be felt in this chest area. So this is very powerful psychically, but if it's too heavy, if it's weighed down on you a little bit too heavy, it starts to get altered. You can't detect, you can't figure out the messages clearly. So if you are a person who may be getting spiritual messages, but they're not coming through clearly to you, there is some energy that needs to be dealt with in the heart areas, because you should be able to receive and communicate, very clearly. But if you can't do it clearly if your heart is heavy, right? Because it goes against the nature of your soul. So now this is also introducing to you the aspect of the soul. A lot of people don't talk about the soul. So this is also giving you introduction to what the soul is. So it's letting you know that the soul communicates its messages through the intelligence of the heart. The intelligence of the heart. It's not the brain. You're not feeling sensations in your head. You're going to feel it in your chest. That's where it's going to come from if we're talking about the soul connection. All right. They that are guided, they that are guided go not astray, but they that are lost cannot find a straight path. If thou go among men, make for thyself love the beginning and end of the heart. So this is letting you know, they that are guided go not astray. So wisdom is guidance, higher guidance, celestial guidance. Paying attention to the stars essentially just means using the stars as a guide. To be a stargazer, you're using the stars as a guide. You are being guided by the stars or the celestial plane. So wisdom is guidance, right? So when you do your divination, when you tap in, when it says I'm trying to tap in, that says I am seeking to be guided by the forces of nature that are in unison with everything in the universe. All is one. Wisdom is all. Wisdom is manifesting on all levels, right? But they that are lost cannot find a straight path. And we see this manifesting, one time. Again, there's a lot of people that's collecting a lot of information in these times because we are in the age of information, right? So there's many people collecting all types of information, but they don't know how to put it together and make it useful and practical to their situation, right? They absorb a lot of information that they can't really do nothing with, so it ends up overwhelming them, making their hearts heavy because they don't know, like, is it this, is that? But when you are guided, when you find a source of wisdom, you always pull from that wealth of knowledge. Whether you find it in the celestial plane or you find it in the earthly plane, some type of guidance must be established. You must be guided by the natural forces of nature. So you're not necessarily creating your own path in a sense. You are creating your own path, but it's being guided by the forces of nature beyond sight, right? Here we go. For thou go among men, make for thyself love the beginning and end of the heart. So whenever you go amongst men, it's letting you know, make love the beginning and end of your heart. So make everything that you do love. That means be completely open when you go amongst men. Most of us definitely are not doing that. We're closed up. We closed up, walking into the job. We're closed up, being amongst strangers. We're closed up. You know what I mean? Like this, we're trying to get in, get out. You know what I mean? We're trying to do whatever we got to do, make our money, get back to the house. Make our money, get back to the house, because we're just super closed up. But it's letting you know, if thou go among men, make for thyself love the beginning and end of the heart. Make love the beginning and end of your heart whenever you go amongst men. Again, you're not going to find this wisdom anywhere else. You're not going to find this anywhere else. Make love the beginning and end of your heart. Always be open to the spontaneous nature of reality, because that's where opportunity will be found. That's where success is found. Everything is found in the now. You have to make yourself open to the now. In order for you to be open to the now, your heart has to be lighter than a feather. All right. If one cometh unto thee for counsel, let him speak freely, that the thing for which he hath come to thee may be done. If he hesitates to open his heart to thee, it is because thou, the judge, doeth the wrong. There's a lot being said in that. If one cometh unto thee for counsel, so if somebody comes to you because they see you as a wise person, you know what I mean? So as people, as people begin to know your face, as people start to observe, what you do, people become familiar with you. So when somebody comes to you for counsel, it says, let him speak freely. So when people come to you and they need to get some things off their chest, it says, let them speak freely. That the thing for which he hath may come to thee may be done. So let this person come to you in counsel, speak freely, so that whatever they're trying to get off of their chest, they're trying to lighten their heart. They're trying to lighten their heart. This is like, this is weighing me down. I need to get it out. So a lot of people, especially empaths, or people who consider themselves empath, they always say like, man, I'm very, very sensitive to all the energies around me. And it ends up overwhelming me at times. And, they also say a lot of people come to them, wanting to express, get a lot of things off their chest, because you may not be able to have that type of conversation with everybody. So once they see that your heart is open, it makes them want to, resonate with you on a heart level. However, like I said, most people have their heart closed. But it says, make love the beginning and ending of your heart. Because once is the next line. If he hesitates to open his heart to thee, it is because thou, the judge, doeth the wrong. So if they hesitate to open their heart chakra, it's not them. It's you not being open in yours that's making them not open up in theirs. Again, you're not going to get this wisdom anywhere else. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, right? So you see, everything spiritual we're hearing nowadays is a variation of this. Everybody is essentially saying this in one form or another. They're just saying it in their own words. But as we see, this is where they get. So that love frequency, world peace and all that. That's you can see where they are getting that from. This is the source of that whole philosophy, and all philosophies out here today. Like, this is the source, right? So it's you who doesn't have an open heart, and that's allowing them to not open theirs. So if they open up to you, it's because you are open. If they don't open up to you, it's because you're not open. You, the judge, do the wrong. So it's got to be you, if the judge, has to do the right, which is keeping an open heart. Make love the beginning and ending of your heart. There we go. Let us continue. Repeat thou not extravagant speech, neither listen thou to it, for it is the utterance of one not in equilibrium. Speak thou not of it, so that he before thee may know wisdom. So this is letting you know. It's like, don't repeat. You can say basically things within a negative frequency. People can call this gossip, backbiting, slander. It's like, don't go into the realm. What most people are doing this nowadays with the president. I'm not even going to say his name because they YouTube be flagging and all this stuff. I don't want the video to be in the category it's not supposed to be in. So I'm just going to say the president. A lot of people engage in this talk of, I hate the president, I hate the president, this is why, 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 this is the reason. And literally every day of the year is somebody on a campaign talking about how much they hate the president. This can be anyone. I'm just using the president as an example because we can see it. You know what I mean? You may not see anybody else receiving so much hate. So we're just using him because every single day he's going to receive some type of hate, regardless, right? If no one else is going to be him. Now we can say, because we see all these people engaging in that type of behavior, which doesn't materialize anything positive, Because it doesn't start in love. If it doesn't begin in love, it's not going to end in love. Always remember that. If it don't begin in love, it's not going to end in love. So because that beginning is not in love, what do you think is going to end? So again, it's not you doing it because Thoth is telling you to do it. It's all right, if you engage in this type of behavior, which the essence of it is not love, where do you think it's going to lead you? So if you're not trying to be led astray, then stay away from the type of talk that leads you astray, because that's, when you are engaging in that, it leads you astray. And it says, speak thou not of it, so that he before thee may know wisdom. So when you're not engaging in that slander type talk, you open yourself up to the wisdom around you. Because when people be engaging in that activity, they be really into it. They be emotional about it and everything, talking about what they don't like, what they hate. That can completely take your essence over fully, where you're just completely into it. You're putting all this energy into it, and you don't even put that type of energy into the positive aspects of life, but you're putting all this when somebody says something about you, you ready to go off that name. That can totally consume a person, and that energy don't even rise when they do other things. Nonetheless, when you stay away from that, when you don't engage in that, wisdom is going to materialize, because you can say that type of energy, that type of arrogance repels wisdom. You can't hear the voice of wisdom when you consume yourself with that essence, or allow yourself to be consumed by that essence. Wisdom will be repelled from you. So when you don't engage in that, wisdom can materialize in your essence, right? Nobody else is going to give you this detailed knowledge, because again, this is being written from a first-hand experience. So this isn't just a God or a person talking about creation. This is the creator talking about how he laid down his plan. So that's why this, no other ancient scripture goes into first-hand detail about how to do these things. So just to be clear, like, this is the only thing that's written from a first-hand experience. This is why we can get so intricate into it. All right. Because again, everybody is saying these things just in one way or another. And we all know that we've all heard these things said in a different way from, people that do their thing. So this is the source, just to make this clear. Silence is of great profit. An abundance of speech profiteth nothing. Exalt not thine heart above the children of men, lest it be brought lower than the dust. So silence is of great profit. So most of the time when you commit yourself to silence, then it's easier not to engage in that type of talk. But let's just say if you're a person that likes to talk, you may find yourself in conversations that you may not have necessarily wanted to engage in, but you have somehow talked your way into a conversation that it may be hard to get out of. But when you engage in silence, you ensure that you don't engage in any type of conversation that you don't want to engage in. But you may just be a friendly type person, just having conversations with everybody. And again, you may find yourself having a conversation that you didn't sign up to have, opening yourself up. You don't necessarily know what energy that they're emitting. You haven't discerned their energy yet before you opened up. So, silence is of great profit, and abundance of speech profits nothing. So an abundance of speech has no profit. So definitely, if you're on a money frequency, if you're on a money consciousness, is letting you know right there. An abundance of speech profits nothing. Right? Exalt not thine heart above the children of men. So basically, if you are a person of wisdom, it's telling you right there, just because you may be wise, do not exalt yourself over the common man and woman. Don't look at yourself as better than a common man or woman. Like, just because you may not have to do what the common man and woman does, you don't exalt yourself over them. Why? Because you are truly their servant. It's for you to help them to get to your level, as opposed to trying to separate yourself. Oh, I don't mess with those type of people. I get up, none of that. I don't know. I'm over here, y'all over there. A lot of people gain the knowledge of self and they start to exalt themselves over people who that may not have it instead of helping them to achieve it. So you rather exalt yourself over the people instead of helping them to see that same realization that you see, because it's truly rooted in insecurity. Because if they felt the same way you felt, then you wouldn't be secure in your position. So that's why people, they would rather exalt themselves than to assist others in getting to the level that they're on. So we can see even that type of consciousness is rooted in fear. You know, people, I'm going to exalt myself versus I'm going to help the people see what I see. You know, so exalt not thine heart above the children of men, lest it be brought lower than the dust. So, okay, you want to exalt yourself, what goes up must come down. So the higher and higher you inflate the ego, the further and further it has to sink. It has to descend. That's why, okay, you want to build up all this arrogance, what goes up must come down. So the more you try to build yourself up with this fake persona, it will all have to descend at some point. All right, here we go. If thou be great among men, be honored for knowledge and gentleness. If thou seekest to know the nature of a friend, ask not his companion, but pass the time along with him, debate with him, testing his heart by his words and his bearings. So this is definitely, we see it nowadays, people are absolute savages. They engage in that type of behavior all the time, right? If thou be great among men, be honored for knowledge and gentleness. We know that we're in an age of people being honored for absolute savage behavior, right? We are in the times where people are honored and dignified for being savages. So it's letting you know, if you be great among men, be honored for your knowledge and your gentleness. Because those who they put on a pedestal that's known for absolute savagery, those are the same people that they bring down at the end of the day. The same fuel that they use to build you up, they're going to drain it right out of you, right? They pump you up just to see you descend. Because after all, it is within a realm of entertainment, right? Most people, when they feel that they can only be freed from slavery out of entertainment, either I gotta play ball or I gotta rap, right? I gotta engage in some form of entertainment. They feel like entertainment is the way out. But entertainment is truly entertainment. That same gas that they put in your tank to gas you up, they're gonna watch you descend. You know what I mean? This is their form of it's an entertainment industry within the entertainment industry, right? But we don't even have to have that conversation. If thou seekest to know the nature of a friend, ask not his companion, but pass the time along with him. How many people do that? All right? Most people, they want to know something about somebody else, then they asking the person next to them. Instead of making the time to have that one-on-one conversation with that person about whatever it may be, they asking this right-hand man or his left-hand man. We see this all the time. People definitely is like, when fear is your foundation, you start doing all this behavior, all this shifty behavior. Instead of just asking the man or woman to his or her face about what's going on, you're asking the next person, right? We see this all the time, right? We all see it. Debate with him, testing his heart by his words and his bearings. Why? Because they don't want that smoke, right? In today's terminology, they don't want that smoke. You don't want to have to potentially debate this person about whatever it is that you feel. You may feel some type of way. They may feel a different type of way. So you guys will eventually have to debate. And they don't want that smoke. They don't want to have to potentially be proven wrong, because their foundation is fear. So that's why they don't engage directly, because they may feel a certain type of way, but they don't want to be wrong. So that's why they're asking people around them, right? They say, I would rather find out if I'm wrong from the next person, because if I engage this person and I'm proven wrong, then that's going to make me feel less than. When your foundation is fear, you start doing all this shifty behavior that we see happening. So we know that the foundation of all that behavior that we see all around us is fear. So you can tell when a person lives within the matrix of fear and lives outside of the matrix of fear. It can be broken down that simply. All right. Make sure that we're good. Okay, we're good. Okay. That which goeth into the storehouse must come forth, and the things that are thine, must be shared with a friend. Okay. So this is saying that which goes into the storehouse must come forth. So meaning you buy product to sell it to the people. You get supplies based on demand. Whatever you put into you, meaning whatever you consume your soul with, whatever you consume your essence with, your aura, your bioenergetic aura, whatever you fill your aura with, whether it be you engaging in the type of behavior that we mentioned, or versus you stay silent and tune into wisdom. When you tune into the wisdom, you become filled with wisdom. You become wisdom itself. You become the intelligence of wisdom versus you become the intelligence of hate, depending on what you fill yourself up with. Like what are you drinking from? The well of wisdom or the well of hate? When you become that intelligence, you will become a reflection of it. It becomes who you are. When you fill yourself up with wisdom, that's who you become. Right? That which you put in must materialize. That which you think must come forth. That's basically what it's saying. Thoughts become things. This is where they get that philosophy from. This is the source. And the things that are thine must be shared with a friend. So that's letting you know. We all out here trying to get ours. I gotta worry about me and my kids, me and my kids, me and my family, me and my family. But this is letting you know. If you have it, you must share it with a friend. It is your duty to share that which you have with a friend. It is your duty to bring your friend. Like if you were really doing that well, let's just say if you own a business and your friend doesn't, it is your duty to bring them in and share that game. You have to share the game with them if you consider them your friend. Why? Most people don't do that with their friends because their foundation is fear. I'm not going to teach them the game because they can potentially become my competitor. They're thinking like businessmen and businesswomen. They're thinking like competitors instead of thinking, let me give this person the game. Because again, it's like I'm going to keep feeding them fish or I'm going to teach them how to fish. Because if I keep feeding them fish, they're going to always come back wanting more fish. But if I teach them how to fish, he doesn't need me for anything. People like to be needed for things. So they would rather be needed than share the game so that they're not needed. They would rather be the person, I gotta always come asking you for something because I know you got it. They'd rather be that person being asked than the person that's sharing the game so that everybody can get their own. So we see that's why people have that type of mentality. Because they don't want to share, they want to keep everything hoarded within. And so we're literally is breaking down all these mentalities, all these personalities that we see on these TV screens, that we see within our own households, that we see in our neighborhoods, is literally breaking down all these personalities, right? Okay. Let me see. Give me 1 second here. All right. So let us continue. Knowledge is regarded by the fool as ignorance, and the things that are profitable are to him hurtful. He liveth in death. It is therefore his food. So, knowledge is regarded by the fool as ignorance. So, Do we not see like, oh, that they don't want to hear it? I be trying to tell them stuff. They just shut me up. They don't want to hear it. Knowledge is regarded by the fool as ignorance. They're like, whatever. You in fantasy land. You on some other shit. You don't know what you're talking about, right? Is that not the reaction that we receive when we try to share this information to those not ready to receive it? The fool regards knowledge as ignorance. That's why they're closed-minded to it, because they regard it as ignorance. They think that you're the weirdo. You're the weirdo when they're truly the weirdo. But they look at you like, whatever. They look at knowledge as ignorance, right? And the things that are profitable are to him hurtful. You try to school somebody on what's really going on about, you may want to talk about diet, you may want to talk about health, you may want to talk about spirituality, mental health, physical health, all that. And they just like, man, I ain't, man. The things that profit you, to him to him are hurtful. Man, I ain't got time to put in that work. I'm already filled with A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I don't have time to do this extra exercise. Oh, I don't have time to start a business on the side that will eventually pay my bills while I have this 9 to 5. I'm like, nah, that's too much. I got too much going on. So the things that would help him or her, the things that would assist him or her, are viewed as hurtful. So they're looking at, instead of, okay, this can possibly support me in 5 years, give it about 5 years, this thing that I started off doing as a project can support me fully. Instead of them looking at that as a profit, they look at that like, that's too much time, that's too much work. I ain't got time and the money to put in for advertisement and marketing and building up a website and doing this and doing that, taking out these loans, and you know what I mean? Like they're looking at all that like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta get this paperwork. So that's how they think about it, of how much that needs to be done instead of how much it will potentially profit them. So these are the two type of mentalities. The two type of mentalities are, you're either thinking about, dang, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, versus, okay, in 5 years, I can quit this and do this full time, and when I'm doing this full time, I can be starting this and doing this. You're thinking about how much more projects that you can start, because now you have free time. Now you can work from home. So you're like, yo, I can work from home, so I can be starting new projects all the time. So now all that time that I didn't have going to and from work, working all these long hours, now I don't have to work half of those hours, and I'm already at home with the kids, with the family, or whatever. So I'm already here, so I can do more. I got more time to spend. All the time that it was getting filled up being away from the house, now I can do it within the house. Or I have my own space, my own studio, and my own this. It's just the mentality. You're thinking about, man, it's gonna take this, I gotta get approved, I gotta get this. You're either thinking like that, or you're thinking about the benefits. Right? He liveth in death, it is therefore his food. So the people who live in death becomes their food. Right? So the people who want to embrace ignorance, then ignorance become their food. People who, you could say, embrace the poverty consciousness, it becomes a food. People who want to embrace insulting the president, it becomes their food. Now they want to see what everybody else saying about the president, what they got to say about the president, right? It becomes their food, right? It's just not explaining the situation we're in. What else is explaining this? Let's continue. Let's continue. The wise man lets his heart overflow, but keeps silent his mouth. O man, list to the voice of wisdom, list to the voice of light. The wise man lets his heart overflow. Remember, let love be the beginning and ending of your heart. Right? The wise man lets his heart overflow. Again, it's talking about the heart. It is not mentioning the brain. It's not saying anything about the brain. It's saying the heart. Follow thine heart. Your heart. Let your heart overflow. Love is talking about the intelligence in the heart. So it's taking you out of this. It's going to the intelligence of the heart. but keeps silent his mouth, right? Because it's telling you. So all up here, keep your mouth silent, keep your thoughts clear, keep your heart open, right? Old man, listen to the voice of wisdom. So wisdom has a voice. Listen to the voice of light. Wisdom has a voice. Light has a voice. In order for you to tune into the voice of wisdom, the voice of light, you have to keep silence, right? You have to be silent to tune into the voice of wisdom, the voice of light. All right. Mysteries there are in the cosmos that unveiled fill the world with their light. Let he who would be free from the bonds of darkness first divide the material from the immaterial, the fire from the earth. For know ye that as earth descends to earth, so also fire ascends unto fire and becomes one with fire, with the fire. He who knows the fire that is within himself shall ascend into the eternal flame, the eternal fire, and dwell in it eternally. Right? So it's a lot that was said there. So let's read through this one more time. But mysteries there are in the cosmos, which is the celestial plane, that unveiled fill the world with their light. Once these mysteries become unveiled, they fill the world with light. Once you understand the science of astrology and how to truly gaze in the stars and gain information from the stargazing, beyond, just what's in your natal chart, beyond yourself. You start with yourself. You start with your own natal chart. That's your root, that's your base, that's your foundation. But then it expands and it becomes a tool to tell time on a grander scale. Now you can look into the stars and see what's really going on outside of yourself. You start within yourself to know what's going on within yourself. Now you have expanded it outward. Now you can tell what's going on with everything else. You started with yourself, now you can see what's going on with everything else. So now it can influence your decision making when it comes to business, when it comes to family, when it comes to things outside of self. It can influence that as well as those internal influences. Let he who would be free from the bonds of darkness first divide the material from the immaterial, dividing the earthly plane from the celestial plane. Understand that there is a microcosm and a macrocosm. You have to divide the two and study their natures individually before you can understand the way that they work together. Right? The fire from the earth. Right? Because the earth pulls down, fire ascends. So you must understand magnetism and you must understand electricity. You must understand that there's an energy that goes upward, there's an energy that goes downward, right? You have to separate the two, study like, okay, this nature is this way, this nature is that way. You have to study the natures, you have to study the contrast. Singular, before you understand their fusions and what comes out of that. Because once they fuse together, then the magic starts happening. But when you study them individually, you can see the pure essence. All right? For know ye that as earth descends to earth, so also fire ascends onto fire and becomes one with fire. He who knows the fire that is within himself shall ascend into the eternal fire and dwell in it eternally. So now it's talking about the same way you're studying this external flame and this external earth, you start to study the internal earth and the internal flame. The internal flame, you can say, is the spirit. So the more you fill yourself with spiritual energy, chi, with prana, when you charge yourself up with this chi, with this prana, with this intelligence that is rooted in wisdom and light, you start to build up your spirit. You following your heart builds up your spirit. It fills your spirit up. It fills you up so that you start to ascend. The more and more you ascend, you light that inner flame. That inner flame starts to burn on an eternal level. So in other words, the more you follow your heart, you're filling up the spirit with the energy that allows you to ascend. naturally. And the more and more you ascend naturally, your flame burns deeper and deeper and deeper until it hits a soul level. Once it hits the soul level, once you become aware of the soul, once you become aware of the higher self by lightening the inner flame, now the flame burns forever, because now you have retained your memory. So when you ascend and incarnate, you can do so with your memory intact, instead of forgetting and trying to remember, forgetting and trying to remember, forgetting and trying to remember. You always remember. That's the eternal flame, flame of always remembering. Right? There we go. Fire, the inner the inner fire, is the most potent of all force, for it overcometh all things and penetrates to all things of the earth. Man supports himself only on that which resists. So earth must resist man, else he exists not. So now it talked about the fire. It talked about the fire and how it naturally ascends. Now it's talking about the earth. Now it's talking about the polarity. So fire, the inner fire, is the most potent of all force. So it's letting you know that internal flame, that soul force, is the most powerful. It's soul force. So when you see the Dragon Ball Z and they're projecting these balls of chi, this is soul force. Your soul force is the most potent. For it overcometh all things and penetrates to all things of the earth. So it overcomes all things and penetrates through the earth. So it rises along with the flames, and it can go deep within the depths of the earth. So matter means nothing to it. All right? The inner fire, the spirit, the ether, right? It penetrates all things above and all things below. And what travels through the ether? Thought. Thought travels through the ether. So now thought penetrates all things above and all things below. Right? So this is the root of this philosophy. They don't go this in depth into it, right? Okay. Man supports himself only on that which resists. So earth must resist man, else he exists not. So now that's letting you know that now it's about magnetism. Man and the earth are magnets, right? The earth has to resist man, meaning there has to be a pull, there has to be a positive charge and a negative charge. So now it's explaining the nature of the earth. The reason the earth pulls down and has this negative charge because it has to resist man. The earth must resist man because the earth is a magnet. So in order for man to exist, in order for man to not be bounded by the earth to the point where the gravity, the pull of gravity is too strong, then a man has to adjust his magnet in order to cope with the earth magnetism or gravitational pull, right? So we see that gravity, you can say, is a manifestation for us to resist the earth so that we can exist. So you can say gravity is necessary for us to exist, but it is created out of the mind of man for us to exist. So now it's going into a way deeper science that, it's going into the metaphysics and the quantum physics. But we see, once again, this is the root of where all these philosophies that we are in tune with today comes from. All right. All eyes do not see with the same vision. For to one an object appears of one form and color, and to a different eye of another. So also the infinite fire, changing from color to color, it is never the same from day to day. Is that not what we say now? We all have we all have our own individual perspective. Right? We say that, right? Everybody, two people can be looking at the same thing and come to two different conclusions. Right? So we all live within our own universe based on the things that we know. Right? All eyes do not see with the same vision. For to one an object appears of one form and color, and to a different eye of another. So as the infinite fire, changing from color to color, it is never the same from day to day. So that internal flame, You wanting to seek greater mysteries changes from day to day, meaning the nature of reality is spontaneous. So you must be able to follow along with the spontaneous nature of reality. Because you may have a thought that sparks something, and that takes you all the way across the world. Taking you all the way across the world may come from one thought, one spark of life. It allows you to think on a broader level. Boom, let me call this person. You call this person, they direct you to another person. That other person, helps you, let's just say, get your money up. That's a $5,000 ticket, you can say. Right? So you call one person, this other person's connected to this person helps you get some money. This money can be invested into you going on a trip across the world. You know what I mean? So it's basically saying, just like what we perceive outwardly, we all are perceiving from the lens of our own universe on an external level and on an internal level. So our internal flames, the things that lights my soul, may be different from yours. What lights your soul may be completely different from what lights my soul, right? Changing from color to color is never the same from day to day. And what lights my soul Monday may be different next Monday. What lights your soul Tuesday may be different next Tuesday. So it is always changing and expanding and morphing into different things. So that's why wisdom can manifest in any form, because it is truly formless. All right. The infinite fire is truly formless. Thus speak I, Thoth, of my wisdom. For a man is a fire burning bright through the night, never is quenched in the veil of the darkness, never is quenched by the veil of the night. So this is saying, thus speak I, Thoth, of my wisdom, for a man is a fire burning bright. So it's saying man is a fire burning bright. So what does that mean? That means within us we contain an inner fire, spirit. The spirit animates man. These are just our vessels. The earth is not, the body is the vessel. What's animating the body is the spirit, which can be viewed as a flame. So it's the flame that animates the vessel that we call man. Right? For man is a fire burning bright through the night, never is quenched in the veil of darkness, never is quenched by the veil of the night. So the spirit is always present and filled with infinite wisdom. You can always pull wisdom out of the spirit or out of the ether, or tuning into the voice of wisdom. You can always tune into the voice of wisdom when you remain silent. Right? So you always have an opportunity to tune into wisdom. Therefore, that leads you away from ignorance, and it leads you away from making decisions that don't benefit you. Whenever you are in tune with wisdom, it allows you to always make the right decision at the right time. Right? There you go. Okay. Into men's hearts I looked by my wisdom, found them not free from the bondage of strife, free from the toils thy fire, O my brother, lest it be buried in the shadow of the night. So, into man's hearts I looked by my wisdom. So again, he's talking about the heart area. He constantly is talking about the heart. Into man's heart I looked by my wisdom. So he's searching man's hearts. Who takes his wisdom seriously? Is once you have something in your heart, as they say, I know about heart, I know about heart. When you know something about heart, that's when you start to really see the reality. So it's one thing to know some things that you always have to open up your notes, right? So one thing to have a bunch of notes. It's another thing to know things by heart, to have it contained within your memory, to know all your natal chart by heart, to know your numerology by heart, to know how to find the stars by heart. It's completely different when you know things by heart, when you have that information in the subconscious mind to where you can speak it from the heart. It's like you memorize a song. When you memorize a song, you can sing it from your heart. But when you're reading a song, because you don't have it memorized, you're speaking from the mind. But when you perform from the heart, you know that you can put your emotion into it, and it, you can channel, a lot more things. It turns into a divination process, right? Found them not free from the bondage of strife. So he was looking for his wisdom in the hearts of men. Those who take his wisdom seriously, it can be found in their hearts. So he doesn't have to observe their brains. He can observe the heart. Who has this wisdom in their heart? That's all you got to know. If it's in your heart, it's in your heart. Don't matter what's in the brain. Free from the toils, thy fire, O my brother. So he's saying, free from the toils, free from all that strife and suffering, you must ignite your inner flame. Free from the toils, thy fire, O my brother. Free your inner flames from the toils, lest it be buried in the shadow of night. If you don't free your internal flame, it will be buried in the shadow of night. Meaning all the hardships of the world will start to weigh down on you. You start to get depressed when you don't feed your inner flame, which can only be fed and quenched with wisdom. It's only wisdom. Wisdom is the only thing that can fulfill your internal thirst for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It can only be heard through the voice of wisdom when you remain silent. So it's breaking down the whole process, piece by piece by piece by piece. Right? So if you don't ignite your internal flame, it will be buried in the shadow of the night. You will be overtaken and depressed and lost and pretty much become, a dead zombie. That's essentially what a zombie is. People that we see walking around here, they're just people who have not sparked their internal flames. So they're walking around in the shadow of the night because they have not sparked their internal flame. Always spark your internal flame. How do you do it? By following your heart. That's what the whole tablet is dedicated to. Following the intelligence of the heart. But nobody else is going this in depth into the nature of the heart. This is coming from her first-hand experience. So that's why, nobody, people take little bits and pieces, but they're not going this in depth into the nature of the intelligence of the heart. You're not going to find this anywhere else. All right. Let's see. Hark ye, O man, and list to this wisdom. Where do name and form cease? Only in consciousness, invisible, an infinite force of radiance bright. The forms that ye create by brightening thy vision are truly effects that follow thy cause. So now we're talking about cause and effect. He's laying everything out. Hark ye, O man, and list to this wisdom. Where do name and form cease? Only in consciousness, invisible. So now he's talking about it's only in the invisible, it's only in the ether that name and form cease. Because, ether is this formless substance that, that thought travels through. Only in the ether, through consciousness, or which we call consciousness. Consciousness flows through the ethers, right? Only in consciousness, invisible, an infinite force of radiance bright. The forms that ye create by brightening thy vision are truly effects that follow thy cause. So what does it mean by brightening vision? Stretching and expanding your imagination. That's what it's talking about. So brightening thy vision is utilizing imagination, putting forms and concepts within the ethers and materializing them. Thoughts turn into things by brightening your vision, right? Making things clear to your imagination, seeing things clearly in your mind's eye. Be able to use your mind eye and see through it clearly. How clear is the vision of your mind's eye? That's a question you have to ask yourself. How clear are my visions that are present in my mind's eye? All right. The forms that ye create by brightening thy vision, the forms that ye create by brightening thy vision, the forms that you create in your mind, your imagination, stretching your imagination, are truly effects that follow thy cause. Right? Effects that follow thy cause. Everything has an intention. That intention becomes a thought form. That thought form starts to travel through the ethers. The ethers start to manipulate the carbon. The carbon starts to shape and mold and materialize through whatever happenings, through the natural process of life. Remember, we are magnets. That's what makes us. That's why we speak in terms of the law of attraction. There could be no law of attraction if you yourself were not a magnet. A magnet has attractive abilities. So The fact that it is even called the law of attraction means man is a magnet. Man and woman are magnets, magnetic abilities. All right, just keep that in your mind. Okay, man is a star bound to a body until in the end he is freed through his strife. Only by struggle and toiling thy utmost shall the star within thee bloom out in new life. He who knows the commencement of all things, free is his star from the realm of night. A lot was said there. A very lot was said there. Man is a star bound to a body. Man is a star bound to a body. So we are stars bound to a body by the gravitational pull. We are stars bound to a body, right? Who else is saying this nowadays, right? This is where it all comes from. Until in the end, he is freed through his strife by listening to the voice of wisdom, by putting in that work, putting in that work. I always talk about got to put in the work, got to put in the work, right? He is free through his strife, putting in the work. Only by struggle and toiling, thy utmost, putting your all, listening to the intelligence of your heart, putting your all into everything that you do spiritually, activating your magic, believing in yourself, having faith. Shall the star within thee bloom out in new life. So only by charging up the inner flame will it begin to bloom and give you new life. He who knows the commencement of all things, free is his star from the realm of the night. So basically, when you know yourself, you know all things. That's why it says, man, know thyself. When you know yourself, you will understand all things outside of self. My thoughts become things. You just understanding that simple thing helps you to, well, the nature outside of me is responsive to my thoughts. That alone, if you understand that, everything outside of me is receptive to my thoughts. So if you want to know the nature of reality is that of a feminine nature. It is receptive to the electricity present in your thoughts. That's really all you need to know. Positive and negative. Break everything down to positive and negative and how these two energies correspond together. And that creates the magic. That's why magic cannot be separated from science, because it's based in mathematical and scientific roots. Electromagnetism, bioelectricity, generating the aura. You can't separate the magic from the science. That's why it says, I believe in the first or the second tablet, he said, this is a knowledge of magic science. He's not teaching you magic, he's not teaching you science. It's the art of magic science. They are all, it's the same thing, that you can't separate it. That's the whole mentality now. We're going to separate the magic from the science. The magic is over here, the science is over here. But they were never meant to be separated because they are one and the same. So this is, what happened in the ancient schools. You will learn magic and science simultaneously so that you can understand the correspondences of life, how to manipulate the actual matrix. So you're learning how to manipulate the matrix. So imagine growing up, learning how to manipulate the matrix because they're not separating the magic from the science. Instead of you have to forget the magic and only learn the science. You learn how to correspond them together. So this is what we're coming back into the awareness of doing. Okay, my thoughts can penetrate my reality and have an influence over it. Therefore, I know that I need to make sure that my thoughts are always concentrated and I'm always in a meditative state. I'm always in those alpha brain waves so that I can properly influence my subconscious. I have to get into the alpha brainwave state that opens up my subconscious mind. So then I need to open up the subconscious mind and I need to implant those thoughts that I want to plant into the seed of the subconscious. The subconscious acts as a womb and begins to cultivate that seed, and that seed starts to gain more and more momentum in life until it materializes in my outward reality. So we have our internal garden. So just ask yourself, how does my internal garden look? Our internal gardens are the thoughts that were once seeds that have now bloomed into flowers. So how tropical is your garden? How well balanced is your garden? Or is it all of one thing? Or is it vast and beautiful? Is it tamed? Or is it, is it highly maintenance? Is it tamed or is it wild and rough? Does it need a cut? Does it need, what is the nature of your inner garden? How much are you upkeeping your inner garden? Definitely got to ask yourself. Okay, let us continue. Make sure that we're good. Okay, we're good. Okay. See everybody popping in. So we almost done. We about halfway through, probably a little bit more. So we almost done. So bear with me. I appreciate everybody for bearing with me. I know that it's not the easiest thing to understand, but we're putting it all into context. So we almost done. Remember, O man, that all which exists is only another form of that which exists not. Everything that has being is passing into yet another being, and thou thyself are not an exception. So, that was it's a lot that was said. Remember, O man, that all which exists is only another form of that which exists not. So all things that are material have a correspondence in the astral plane. You can say that. So all material things, all things material that we see has their root in the astral plane. The astral plane, however, all things in the astral plane don't have a physical counterpart, but all things in the physical have an astral counterpart. Basically, to simplify it. Because all thoughts don't necessarily materialize, but all physical thoughts that have materialized have their root in the astral plane. So that's what it's saying. So all thoughts that we see physically have their root in the astral plane, or the subconscious of the mind. Right? Everything that has being is passing into yet another being, and thou thyself are not an exception. So everything that has an essence is constantly being passed to another essence, and we are no exception. We're always giving our energy, to things, whether it's we're giving our energy to our family, our job, getting your money up, getting your spirituality up. We always have energy and we're giving it away. Right? So our essence is always being passed on. The trees is passing on oxygen. We're passing on carbon dioxide to be purified by the trees. So we're passing, the essence is constantly being passed around life. We're always giving up, giving and receiving, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. So it's breaking down the universal laws, right in front of us. And we are no exception. So we're always giving and receiving, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. All right. Consider the law, for all is law. Seek not that which is not of the law, for such exists only in the illusion of the senses. Wisdom cometh to all her children, even as they cometh unto wisdom. So there was a lot said there. Let's say that one more time. Consider the law, for all is law. Seek not that which is not of the law. Consider the law, for all is law. Don't seek anything outside of the law, outside of the truth. Why? You don't seek anything outside the truth, for such only exist in the illusion of the senses. So that's letting you know right there. So within the realm of the illusion of the senses, falsehood can exist. Falsehood can only exist in the illusion of the senses. So it is only in the illusion of the senses can you be manipulated. However, when you consider the law and you take heed to the law, the mathematical reality of the universe, that your thought can be an influence over your reality is receptive to your thoughts. You stay within that truth. Consider the law. All is the law. That means everything is positive and negative. If you think in positive and negative terms and understand how they work together, you will understand everything in reality. Everything in reality can be broken down to an atom with a positive charge and a negative charge. If you understand an atom, you understand all things that come from atoms. Right? Is it not the case? Anything outside of that truth can only exist within the illusions of the senses. So you can believe in falsehood in the realm of the senses if you want to, or you can consider the law, right? That's you can say we can the illusion of free will. You can either consider the law or not consider the law, but eventually we all have to bear witness, even if it requires somebody to go through the veils of death. But we all will bear witness to the truth. We all have to pass our energy on to the next form, right? Wisdom cometh to all her children, even as thou comest into wisdom. All right. All through the ages, the light has been hidden. Awaken, O man, and be wise. So this is also letting you know, all through the ages, the light has been hidden. So that's letting you know this was never mainstream information. This was never mainstream knowledge. This was never something that we all had conscious of. So for whatever reason, like there was not a time ever that the wisdom was just readily available. That was never it. So that's why you see all this mainstream spirituality. It's not speaking like they're speaking here. They extract certain things from here and they create their own thing. But the true wisdom has remained hidden because not a lot of people even talk about the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. You would think it would be a way more popular thing, but this is why this information is really suppressed, because of what's revealed in here. All through the ages, the light has been hidden. Awaken, O man, and be wise. Awaken and be wise. Remember, wisdom is being silent and speaking with your mind, following your heart. Because it's teaching you about wisdom. It taught all about the heart. So stay in tune with the intelligence of the heart. There you go. Keep silent. Don't engage in all that mess. Keep silence. Keep silence. Stay aware of your heart, because this is where you will be guided. You are guided through the heart chakra. Right? Not the brain, the heart chakra. Stay silent and be guided through the heart chakra. That is being wise. Right? If you are in tune with the intelligence of your heart, you are in tune with the intelligence of all things, because everything is, your heart chakra is the center. All right. Deep in the mysteries of life have I traveled, seeking and searching for that which is hidden. So Thoth is saying himself, he has always searched for the hidden. Nothing satisfies his soul other than wisdom and greater mysteries. Once he get to high stakes, he realized that there are even higher stakes, and he's just constantly filling up his wisdom. Right? There is never an end to the mysteries. Right? List ye, O man, and be wise. Far beneath the earth crust, in the halls of Amenti, mysteries I saw that are hidden from men. So in the previous video, we talked all about the halls of Amenti, right? So if you want to know about the halls of Amenti, just check out the previous tablet. Mysteries I saw that are hidden from men. So there's more and more mysteries that are hidden from the eyes of men. Because remember, you got the children of light, you got the children of men, right? You got those who retain their memory after death and those who forget after death, right? And those who remember have wisdom, because they can remember age after age after age after age and retain that information, right? That's why I got the skull, because remember, many of us have heard about the crystal skulls. For those who have not heard about the crystal skulls, we don't have to go too deep into it, but it's a symbol of retaining the memory, retaining the carbon that's found within the bone structure and all that. It's all about retaining it. That's why they study mummies and all that, because they're studying that has been retained. You know what I mean? The darkness in the skin and all that. They're looking at the things that are maintained. Maintaining your memory after death. That's what the skull represents. So yes, it represents death, but not just death. You got the crystal skull. So the crystal skull represents being able to retain your memory beyond death. That's why it's a crystal skull. All right, you got the bone skulls, then you got the crystal skulls, the retention of your memory, being able to retain memory after death, that's what it truly means to transcend death. It means the transcendence of death. You have truly transcended death if you're able to retain your memory, because when you retain your memory, you truly are not dying, you are just changing form. And you have an awareness of this. This becomes an awareness, all right? All right. Off have I journeyed, the deep hidden passage. Look onto the light that is life among men. There beneath the flowers of life ever living. Search I the hearts and the secrets of men. Found I that man is but living in darkness. Light of the great fire is hidden within. So it's basically saying he's journeying, right? All through from age to age to age to age to age. He's journeying, searching the hearts of men. Right? Again, he's searching the hearts of men, right? So search I the hearts and secrets of men. So he's not searching, oh, what does that man know? What does that man know? Search I the hearts and secrets of men. Right? If you know what's within a man's heart, you know his secrets. If you know his secrets, you know who he really is. So you can find all of that by tuning into the intelligence of the heart chakra. That's how you truly are able to read people through the heart chakra, right? So it's letting you know. All right. Search I the hearts and secrets of men. Found I that man is but living in darkness. So once he searched the hearts of men and the secrets of men, he realized these men are living in ignorance. All right. Light of a great fire is hidden within. So even though they're living in ignorance, their souls are still lit. Even if the light is super dim, but the soul's light is still there. So they still have a potential to awaken. That's why he keeps saying, awaken, O man, awaken, awaken, and be wise. Awaken and be wise. Awaken and be wise. Build up that internal flame and let it shine on an internal level, etherically forever. On a soul level. Make your flame internally so bright that it reaches the soul and that it shines forever. He's constantly saying that. And how do you do that? By being wise. How do you be wise? And this is all what we're talking about throughout these tablets, right? Wisdom. But it's just being manifested in so many different ways. It may go over people's heads, but it's being manifested on several dimensions. All right. Before the lords of hidden amenity, learned I the wisdom I give unto men. So he's letting you know, where did he get his wisdom? Thoth, where did he get his wisdom? Before the lords of hidden amenity, learned I the wisdom I give unto men. So he learned his wisdom in the halls of amenity. Again, if you want to know about the halls of amenity, we went through that in the previous video. All right. So the halls of amenity is the source of his wisdom. So we want to know, where is he getting it from? Where is he getting it from? The halls of amenity. And the halls of amenity are where the pyramid is. And we talked about that in the first tablet. The first tablet talked about how the halls of amenity was constructed. And the pyramid is essentially an entrance to the hall of amenity. But we talked about that in the first tablet. You have to go back to the first. So you're gonna have to definitely put these together. So definitely watch the full series. Because each tablet, although they are separate tablets, you have to piece them together. And this is what it means to be wise, to be able to piece these things together. All right. Masters are they of the great secret wisdom, brought from the future of infinity's end. 7 are they, the lords of amenity, overlords they of the children of morning, sons of the cycles, masters of wisdom. So now he's talking about, okay, well, what is the halls of amenity? So there's 7 lords of the halls of amenity, right? And those 7 lords, master are they of the great secret wisdom. So the masters of the secret wisdom are the 7 overlords that are found in the halls of amenity. And that wisdom brought from the future of infinity's end. The future of infinity's end, meaning it is ageless, essentially. That's just a poetic way of saying this wisdom has existed before and it will exist after time. So this wisdom predates time itself. That's essentially what it's talking about. 7 are they, the lords of amenity, overlords they of the children of the morning, sons of the cycles, masters of wisdom. You could say it's talking about the 7 chakras, right? The 7 chakras are overlords they of the children of morning. The children of the morning, sons of the cycles. Our cycles, you can say, are dictated by the 7 chakras. That's what chakra means. Wheel, for those who don't know. Chakra means wheel, or chakra means vortex. So when it says sons of cycles, cycles are wheels. So you have 7 wheels, 7 cycles, 7 vortexes, the 7 chakras. And each of these chakras have a personality, right? Formed are form are not they as the children of men. 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9 are the titles of the masters of men. So now it's saying form are they, form are, wait, excuse me, form are not they as the children of men. So again, you got the children of light, you got the children of men. The children of light look just like men, so they walk amongst men. You can say they are gods amongst men, but they are in silence. They don't reveal the true essence. So they are alive amongst men. They could be your next door neighbor, but you would never know. You know what I mean? 7 are, excuse me. Let me get my position back. 7 are they, the lords of Amenti. So the lords of Amenti, there are 7, right? Overlords of the children of the morning, sons of the cycles, masters of wisdom. Form are not they as the children of men. 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9 are the titles of the masters of men, right? So remember, the masters of men, a master of men is basically an ascended being. This being has ascended and they have become a master because they can retain their consciousness after death, right? So they become, if you wanted to give them a title, was the ascended masters, they are the masters of men because they have mastered, you can say, the 7 layers of consciousness, the 7 chakras, or the halls of Amenti. So remember, you could say it's speaking about a physical halls of Amenti, but it's also talking about an internal hall of Amenti. So you have to put it into perspective. All right. Far from the future, formless yet forming, came they as teachers for the children of men. Live they forever, yet not of the living, bound not to life, yet free from death. So now it's talking about the children of light. The children of light are far from the future, formless yet forming, came they as teachers of the children of men. So once again, these people didn't come to exalt themselves over men. They came as teachers of men, teachers of the beings that were ignorant, to give them wisdom. Live they forever, yet not of the living, because they are immortal beings. They retain their memory. They are crystal skulls. Bound not to life, and yet free from death, because they have ascended and they understand a cycle of ascension and incarnation. They have mastered ascension and incarnation, right? Masters of life. Renewal, constantly renewing your life. They have mastered it. All right. Rule they forever with infinite wisdom. Bound yet not bound to the dark halls of death. Life they have in them, yet life that is not life. Free from all are the lords of the all. So it's like they have it, but they're not there. Up there, they are amongst the living, but not the living. It's like they have life, but they're not of the life. So that means they are material, composed of an immaterial substance. So it's like a spirit within the body. If you're just looking at the body, you can't see the nature of the spirit. So you have form, but yet you're formless. You have form, yet you're formless. You are of the living, yet you come from beyond life because you have an eternal flame, right? So it's describing the nature of man and woman. It's just speaking in poetic terms, right? Rule they forever with infinite wisdom, bound yet not bound to the dark halls of death. They're bound to death, but not bound. They have to renew their body, but they keep their memories. So they're bound yet not bound to the dark halls of death. Life they have in them, yet life that is not life. So they have life, they have spirit within them, but life that is not, but yet life that is not life. Meaning it's life, but it's not life. Meaning we can say we have energy, right? Chi, we have energy, we have chi, we have prana. But the spiritual flame goes beyond that. So we have life, you have chi, you have prana, like all other men and women. But your internal flame is not of that. Your internal flame is beyond that. That's what it's talking about. So you have life, but not of life. You are lit by internal flame that predates life. You can say your soul. So you have life, but you also have a soul. You have spirit, you also have a soul. Right? Life, but not of life. You have spirit, but you are a soul being. Right? Free from all are the lords of the all. Free from all the cycles. So to free yourself from all of the cycles, the 7 vortexes, the halls of Amenti, the overlords, is the purpose of ascension. So you pretty much go through those cycles at your leisure versus things that you have to do. All right. Let's make sure we're good. Okay. I'm being asked, so the halls of Amenti, like the Akashic records, as we go through the tablets, it's gonna be made more clear. So definitely, things are gonna become more and more clear as we go through the tablets. So just hold tight. We're going to go through all these concepts. Again, it's going to be described in these tablets. So just hold tight. We're going to go through everything. All right. Forth from them came forth the logos, instruments they of the power over all. Vast is their countenance, yet hidden in smallness, formed by a forming, known yet unknown. So now it's talking about the logos. The logos, if you can say the natural forces, right? So forth from them came forth the logos, instruments they of the power of the all. So the logos are instruments of the all's power, or you can say the natural forces of the all. So they're instruments of the all's will, God's will, whatever you want to call it. So they're instruments of God's will, formed by a forming, known yet unknown. Remember, spirit, but not of spirit. All right. Now it's talking about the keys of wisdom. So three holds the key of all hidden magic. Creator he of the halls of the dead. So now it's about to describe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Or you can say the attributes of the 7 overlords of the halls of Amenti. Now it's going into detail. So the first overlord of the hall of Amenti is being described as 3. 3 holds the key of all hidden magic. Creator he of the halls of the dead, sending forth power, shrouding with darkness, binding the souls of the children of men, sending the darkness, binding the soul force, director of negative to the children of men. So again, it's telling you that the children of men are on this prison planet, and they are bound to this prison planet by powers that are beyond the prison planet, and the powers that are beyond the prison planet are controlled by custodians. These custodians are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. They are the custodians of the children of men. They are watching over the children of men, observing the children of men, and they all have a certain duty. So now we're going into the duties of the custodians of the matrix that we exist in, right? So again, hopefully that doesn't go too far. So remember, so the duty of the number 3, or the first overlord, his duty is to hold the key of all hidden magic. He is the creator of the halls of the dead, sending forth power, shooting with darkness, binding the souls of the children of men, sending the darkness, binding the soul forth, directing of negative to the children of men. So the number 3, he's responsible for all the negativity. So he's the one that controls the darkness and the ignorance. This is a necessary force within the greater game, right? This is a necessary force within the greater game. All right. So 4, now we're going into the second overlord, 4. 4 is he who loosens the power, Lord he of life to the children of man. Light is his body, flame is his countenance, freer of souls to the children of men. So you got number 3, who controls the darkness. Now 4, you could say is the light, right? So 3 is he's the Lord of the hidden power. 4 loosens the power that the number 3 is overlord of. So now you see there's a contrast. 5 is the master, the Lord of all magic, key to the word that resounds among men. So now we're talking about number 5, the third overlord. So the third overlord has mastery over the word, the spoken word, right? Sound becoming matter. So number 5 is sound, right? 6. 6 is Lord of Light, the hidden pathway, path of the souls of the children of men. So number 6 is the soul's path, the path you take to the soul. What path do you take to the soul? Number 6 resonates with Venus, right? Venus is the heart chakra. The heart chakra is the pathway to the soul. So these numbers also resonates with the actual numbers with the planets as well. And we'll get to that afterwards, but let's finish this up. We're almost done. 7 is he who is Lord of the vastness, master of space, and the key of the time. So now we're talking about space and time. So now it's breaking down every component to the matrix. 8 is he who orders the progress, weighs and balances the journey of men. 9 is a father, vast he is of continents, forming and changing from out of the formless. So now we had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And you see, if you really know, these numbers actually do correspond to the attributes of the planets. Because let's go back to 3. 3 holds the key of all hidden magic. We know that the number 3 resonates with the planet Jupiter, which is the planet of wisdom. The key to all hidden magic is wisdom. So Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, so that is actually accurate with the planetary vibrations. We know that 4 is Rahu, he who loosens the power. No, 4 is the most challenging number because it's the slowest vibration. However, because the vibration is so slow, you can see everything more clearly. That's why number 4 is it's an earth energy. It helps you to see things in a slowed down consciousness so that you can understand the material plane. So number 4 loosens the power. So the more that you understand the physical plane, the more that you understand the matrix, because now it's like seeing the matrix in slow motion. Remember, Neo was able to move faster than the matrix once he started to become aware of himself. He was able to move faster. And he was able to also slow down time. He was able to go faster, speed up time, and slow down time. So once you're able to see things in slow motion, you know how to move out the way before you get hit, essentially. You know how to see things before they happen and place yourself in a position, to receive the gifts. So 4 loosens the power. The more you understand the material plane, the looser and looser the power of darkness has over you. So that the number 4 actually does do that for you. We know that number 5 is Mercury, which is the key to the word. We know Mercury is all about communication, the key of the word. The spoken word, we know that's Mercury, which has rulership over Gemini, which is all about communication, as well as Virgo. All right. 6 is the Lord of the Light, the hidden pathway. I talked about number 6 because obviously the hidden pathway, the Lord of the Light, path of the souls. The path of the soul is the number 6, which resonates with Venus, the heart chakra. We taught this tablet is all about the heart chakra. Right, so that's the number 6. 7 is the Lord of vastness, master of space and time. So know that 7 is the spiritual number. So once you get to the number 7, it's like going into this spirit plane. Now you are master of space and time. Right, so once you get to the number 7, which is the first spiritual number, you got 7, 8, and 9. That's talking about the spiritual plane. Now you have mastery over space and time. That's how you gain access to the spirit plane, by stopping time. Merging the sun with the moon, and you complete time comes to a utter stop. Then that's you project your consciousness, astral travel, whatever, you know what I mean? So that's the number 7. That's the introduction to the spirit plane, because now you have mastery over time and space. 8 is he who orders the progress, weighs and balances the journey of man. We know the number 8, build or destroy, weigh and balance. Saturn is all about the fusion of positive and negative, the masculine, that we talked about that in yesterday's video when I talked about the spirits of August. It's talking about the androgynous spirits, the masculine and the feminine energy working as one, the weight and the balance, right? Those scales, that positive and that negative charge. So you see that there is a correspondence, and of course 9 is the planet of Mars, which is all about forming and changing form. 9 is a number of birth, manifestation, right? It's form and bringing things into birth, right? That's what Mars does. Mars is pure masculine energy. It's the circle with the arrow tip. When you impregnate the universe with a thought, it bears seeds, or it bears fruit, sorry. When you implant the universe with a seed, it bears fruit. Whether we're talking about a physical woman or we're talking about the matrix itself, right? Changing form. The blood becomes a human being. The blood clot becomes a human being. It's the process of changing form. The same thing, but changing form. The same intelligence, changing form. So it actually does correspond with the planetary vibrations. There we go. All right. Meditate on the symbols I give thee. Keys are they, though hidden from men. So it's letting you know numerology is a key that is hidden from men. Most people just looking at these numbers as they have no meaning. They just something to add and subtract and divide and multiply. But they are truly intelligence. I've been talking about this for years. I'm like, numbers are intelligence. You know what I mean? This is nothing that I haven't already mentioned. I'm just giving y'all the source. You know, this is the source of all this information. Just had to bring y'all back to the source, all right? Reach ever upward, O soul of the morning. Turn thy thoughts upward to the light, into life. Find in the keys of the numbers I bring thee. Light on the pathway from life unto life. So it's saying reach ever upward. Ascension, always ascend. Soul of the morning. So now it's talking about your soul. Always ascend your soul. Your soul. You have to cultivate your soul. How do you cultivate your soul? By cultivating your spirit. How do you cultivate your spirit? By having your heart chakra opened up so that you can be in tune with the voice of wisdom, with the voice of light. Right? Finding the keys of the numbers I bring thee. Light on the pathway from life onto life. So you start off in, earthly life, physical life, but then you become embodied within the internal life, the internal flame. All right, there you go. Seek ye with wisdom. Turn thy thought inward. Close not thy mind to the flower of light. Seek ye with wisdom. Turn thy thoughts inward. Where do we hear this? This is all about you. Go inside. Go inside. This is where it all comes from. This is where all these metaphysical spiritual thoughts. This is where it comes from. Turn thy thoughts inward. Close not thy mind to the flower of light. Right? The lotus. Right? Sometimes the chakras are visualized as lotus with various petals. Like the crown chakra is 1,000-petaled lotus. Right? So sometimes the chakras are described as lotus with many petals, the flower of light, right? So you visualize, if you want to visualize a crown chakra, you would visualize a 1,000-petaled lotus, for example, all right. Place in thy body a thought-formed picture. Think of the numbers that lead thee to life. So now it's telling you that each number corresponds to thought. So, but they don't talk about this. Place in thy body a thought-formed picture. Place in your imagination. So when we talk about imagination, it's talking about place it inside your body. So most of the time when we're visualizing and we're imagining, we're thinking about things outside ourselves, right? But to say, place a thought-formed picture inside of yourself, inside of the heart. Place a thought-formed picture inside of your heart, because that's where all your power is. Place in thy body a thought-formed picture. Whatever you're trying to materialize, put it in your heart. Think of the numbers that lead thee to life. So once you place this thought in your heart, it corresponds with a number. When you find out what number it corresponds to, then you chant that number. So again, if you're seeking wisdom, you would like the number 3. If you wanted to seek material freedom, that's like the number 4. Mastery of sound, the number 5, so on and so forth. So once you know what number resonates with the intention you have placed in your heart, now you bring it to life through the chanting of that number, or utilizing that number in correspondences. It's working with the energy of Venus, for example, the number 6, and things that correspond to Venus in the number 6. And that's how you form rituals and do spiritual work. Spiritual work is just finding the correspondences and doing a ritual You know, it's a meditation, concentration around the heart vibration, so on and so forth. All right. Pour forth thy flame as a son of the morning. Pour forth thy flame. Illuminate your heart chakra. Illuminate your spirit. Illuminate your soul. Shut out the darkness and live in the day. Shut out the darkness, meaning never move in ignorance. Move in wisdom. Always be wise. Take thee, O man, as part of thy being, the seven who are, but are not as they seem. So he's talking about the seven overlords of the Hall of Amenti, the seven chakras, the seven portals, the seven vortexes that are, but they are not. Because if you cut a human body open, you're not going to find any chakras. So they exist, but they don't exist. That's just what it's talking about. So chakras are real, but you're not going to be able to cut open a body and find chakras because they're vortexes. They are portals, metaphysical or quantum portals that are generated by the electric flow through the body. So once that flow stops, they're no longer generated. So the electricity that's traveling all through the body is generating portals called chakras. See, but nobody puts it in that context. See, once you put it into context, it all makes sense, right? All right. Opened, O man, have I my wisdom. Follow the path and the way I have led. Masters of wisdom, sons of the morning, light and life to the children of men. There we go. So I know that took long. That was almost 2 hours, right? But we had to get through it. So again, the reason I'm reading it word from word so you can hear it from the source. So all the spiritual information that we say is new thought, new age, we see that it comes from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. In one way or another, this is essentially what everybody is talking about, right? In one way or another, this is their source. So I wanted to direct you back to the source so that you can read for yourself, read along with me, and we can go through this so it can put everything into proper context. You may have got some wisdom from over here, some wisdom from over here, some wisdom from over there, but it's hard to piece it together. So this is bringing everything back together so that you can build a foundation, a solid foundation on all this information that you have gained. As we go through these tablets, you want to see that it all correlates and you can build your spiritual foundation based on these principles outlined in these tablets, and you can continue to ascend. But now you understand everything you're supposed to be doing. You can put it into proper context. Okay, well, what is my purpose here? You understand what it is. How do I do that? You understand, tune to the voice of wisdom. It's putting everything into proper context so that you can have a clear path. How to exercise fully your spirituality, because it's speaking from a first-hand perspective from Thoth. This is a wisdom from Thoth. Take heed. You know, so unless anybody has any questions, we'll be able to check up out of here. You know, let's see. What is the symbol number of love? The number of love is the number 6, the planet Venus. So definitely work with the energy of Venus. The more and more I listen to this, the more and more I realize Novelli Goddard is really speaking truth. Absolutely, because he learned from a Hebrew mystic. His teacher was a Hebrew mystic. And they're all about this. They're all about the Kabbalah. They're all about this. Again, this is the source. Everything that we're talking about nowadays can be found within these tablets, I guarantee you. Once you understand and put it into proper context, everything is within these tablets, I guarantee you. Is it 4 Rahu? Yes, 4 is definitely Rahu. Yes, 4 is Rahu. So that's why I talked about 4 helps you to gain financial independence, because it's the slowest vibration, which for some people, it causes a lot of problems. But if you are a problem solver, you want more problems because it helps you to advance to higher levels of mathematics. You know, so there you go. So definitely 4 is definitely Rahu. You've helped me reveal new perspectives I didn't discover, even though I've read them many times. Definitely. That's why I wanted to read it together, because I'm pretty sure many people have already read these tablets. This is definitely not my first time reading the tablets. You know, this is probably like my 3rd or 4th time. But as we read it together and we can put it into context, we can see The more and more you read, it's revealing more and more wisdom. Like I had a whole different perspective of the immortality of Thoth the first time, had a different perspective the second time, and I have a different perspective now. So the wisdom is constantly changing based on where I am on my spiritual journey. So it speaks to you based on your level, because it's obviously it's coming from a divine source. Definitely have some revelations. Listen to this. It's made the connection between the seven lords and the seven chakras. There you go. You know what I mean? It's all about those correspondences, definitely. So, let me see. How do you read people through their hearts in more detail without being deceptive? It's all about, you have to be aware of the intelligence of your heart. You got to take your consciousness out of your brain and place it in your heart. How do you do that? By being silent, being open to the voice of wisdom, being receptive to your intuition, working with the energy of Venus, working with copper. Get you some copper pennies. Get pennies before the date of 1982. Get some real copper pennies and place them over your heart chakra so it will amplify, the energy of the heart. So definitely work with copper. If you really want to enhance the heart chakra, work with the energy of copper. The energy of copper, excuse me. What if your heart wants to stick up for someone else without hereby speaking it or seeing it in your mind only? Yeah, because it spoke. Don't allow falsehood to stand when you hold the truth. So if you possess the truth and somebody's speaking falsehood, so let's just say somebody is speaking a falsehood about somebody else who's being accused of something they didn't do, and you know it to be a fact, then yes, you speak up because you hold the truth, and the truth should be able to shut down the falsehood. So yeah, if that means sticking up for another person because they're being lied on, and you know that it is really it's not true, and that can potentially lead them to getting hurt or prosecuted, then absolutely, absolutely. So if you need to speak up for other people, you do so. All right. I always watch your videos. I appreciate that. Quiz Media 2020. I appreciate that. So I think everybody is on the same page here. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in, watching. So definitely, any info, if any, on the Thoth Tarot deck would be dope. We'll read the Book of Thoth. Everything that you want to know about the Thoth Tarot can be found in the Book of Thoth, written by Aleister Crowley. So definitely read the Book of Thoth. It has everything you need to know is in the Book of Thoth. All right, so we get up out of here. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Definitely check out the links in the description. Definitely check out the website if you're just somebody who who is fulfilled with wisdom. Check out the website. Definitely got a lot of content on there. Check out the description. Torrance Gardner says 12 chakras. There's many people. Some people say we have 11. Some people say we have 12. Some people say we have 13. But we're talking about the 7 inner chakras. Because whenever you go beyond the 7, you can say that the chakras above the head or in front of the head or below the body. But we're just speaking about the 7 chakras that correspond to the 7 glands. So we're not talking about the metaphysical chakras. We're just talking about the correspondences. The crown chakra from the root chakra, those 7. All right, so there we go. Do I believe the facts can be changed? Absolutely. Facts is just what people have agreed collectively. Like for example, we have all types of false information in these history books. Things that never even happened, but we have agreed collectively that it has happened, so it exists in history books. So yes, facts can be changed when new information is discovered. So absolutely. So again, appreciate everybody. Get up out of here. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Salute.